This is my primary NAS down here. You can see I've got the cover off because I'm doing some work on it right now. You'll see that in another video. But in this video, we're going to be taking a look. Probably a smart move to actually turn on night shot instead of turning off the camcorder. But yeah, oops. We're going to be taking a look at this server. This is NAS 2. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be replacing that with some other hardware. It seems like just yesterday I put that thing together. But I've decided that I want to put an actual tower case here. And I'm also not exactly enthralled with the performance and all of the limitations that the Asus PSGD1-VM motherboard instills on this machine. Plus, the system actually has my outboard speaker. You might be able to see it there if you turn on night shot. That's got my 5¼ inch speakers in it. And I'd like to use that system for something else, maybe for playing media or something like that. So I think I'm going to pull that out and replace that with something else. But that begs the question, what am I going to replace it with? Well, in my closet back there, I've actually got a compact case, or a former compact case that was given to me. And in that, I have an Asus P5PE-VM motherboard and some unknown set of hardware. I don't remember what all I've got in there, but it's a Pentium D820, so it'll be a little bit better than this Pentium 4 3GHz CPU. I forget what the spec on that really is other than 3 GHz. Perhaps I could look into it, but I don't know if I really care that much. But I'm going to get that system out and go ahead and set that up for this purpose, because otherwise, see, that was actually my main rig for a while. And it hasn't really seen a whole lot of use since. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it to use in this particular video. Ah, yes. I remember this system. Let's see, it's in this compact Presario case. SR1103WM, which means that the original system was sold at Walmart. But it was given to me as just a case with nothing in it. Let's see, I've got it set up. Pretty much no frills. This was originally a NAS in here, but I actually converted it. Funny enough, that one over there is what it became. So I pulled all the NAS hardware out of that. And my plan actually for this, at one point in time, I may have even uploaded a video about it, was to try and turn this into a new stream encoder computer. But of course, those plans basically fell by the wayside. There's nothing really wrong with it, per se, other than the fact that it seems to be rather unstable when I have it loaded up to the nines with expansion cards. When I have all the slots populated, the system tends to crash for random reasons, and I don't really know why. I've tried changing the RAM, I've tried changing all kinds of different things, even tried changing the power supply, and that seems to have not made a difference. So I guess there's just something ever so slightly wrong with the chipset on the motherboard. Being an Asus board, I'm not really surprised, but it really bummed me out because a Pentium D would have been marginal, but still better than a Pentium 4 for doing live streaming. But I figure that if I'm actually going to upgrade that Dimension 5150, I'm probably just going to go straight to a Core 2 Duo or something even a little bit bigger than that. If I take this off, we did see on the front there is a DVD burner, and there is a floppy drive, of course, because real computers have floppy drives. Otherwise, I'm going to have to leave the network card in there because I know that the onboard Ethernet does not work. So, here's one thing. Unfortunately, I've only got 2 RAM slots, which means I'm going to have to go down to 2 gigs of RAM at the very most. I don't even know what's in this right now. It's fairly clean, though. I cleaned it out before I started putting it back together. Of course, it's got this big fan on the back, which will hopefully keep it nice and cool. Earth watts, 380 watt. Go ahead and turn the night shot off so you actually stand a chance of seeing some of this. What hard drives are installed in here? What is that? It looks like an 80 gigabyte. And some other drive there, probably no more than 80 as well. But all that mess is going to come out of there because I'm going to be putting in some serial ATA drives. Since this board has onboard serial ATA, and unlike the PSGD1-VM, the onboard serial ATA actually does stand a chance of working. You just barely make it out down there. So I'll go ahead and I'll get all this ready to go. Oh yeah, I remember now. I had to put this little splitter on here so I could get 2 floppy power connectors out of this because the power supply only has 1. Of course, I don't need that in there anymore because I'm taking this video card out since it's got one of those crappy little fans on it. I don't trust that for server use. This is a random hoppage. I forget exactly what it is. It's a WinTV PVR 150 or something like that. I don't remember. It's a little capture card. It seems to work fine. I have 2 of them. The other one doesn't work. But this one seems to be okay, so that'll be useful for some other project. Of course, it's going to be useless in this. I'll have to find some slot blanks for this. I hope that's not going to be too difficult. Then that sound card in there, that's also going to come out. Don't really need that. So, let me get started with all this mess, sorting out all these cables, finding my serial ATA power connectors, and getting the IDE ones all squared away. I gotta say, one of the big positives of this case is that it's very easy to remove the front panel. Go ahead and flip it around here. You can see it's got these 4 little pegs here. Those come out very easily, and then at the top there's this little button here which you push, and you just pull the rest of the front panel off. But the one thing that I have to say it's negative are these quick release bays. They look like they're pretty sturdy, but you can see I broke both the ones that had the hard drives installed in them because it's actually very easy to do that. It's very fragile and brittle plastic. So, anyway, I've got all that out. I have not removed the ribbon cable because I'm going to leave this ribbon cable on the system. The reason why I'm doing that is because the old drives are IDE and I need to transfer the data somehow. I'm going to simply clone the old drive to the new drive, and so that way I don't have to worry about reinstalling the operating system and installing all the updates and all that mess. So I'll just do that, because I am sticking with Windows Server, because again, like I said in that last video, I have a reason to be using Windows Server on this. So I'll do that, and I'll put the other drive on here and transfer all the data over to the new drive. Here are the old drives. There's the Seagate, 80GB, 7200.9, nothing really special there. This other one is, as I suspected, an 80GB Western Digital. Back when these were the cat's meow. These were the drive to have. I remember buying that one brand new and thinking, wow, 80GB, what a lot of storage space that was. Of course, back in 2004, that was quite a bit of storage space. You could get bigger than that in 2004, but it was still fairly expensive in early days for all that mess. Those were cheap drives, easy to have. I have a whole bunch of them still kicking around. Not a single one of them has gone bad, so can't really say that for some of the later drives I've bought, the Seagates and all that other horrendous mess. Seagates went really bad when the 7200.11 came out, and they just never really got any better. The newer ones are okay, but a lot of problems with those 7200.11s and 7200.12s. The 11s especially, for obvious reasons. Those ones had the firmware bugs. I never really had any issues with the firmware on those, but they seem to suffer from disk contamination as well, because I had a whole bunch of them that went bad pretty much all at the same time, and opened them all up and they all had dirt all over the inside of them. So, well, there's one thing. I'm going to continue to get all this mess out of here and probably put the drives in first since I've got it facing this way. I'll get some serial ATA cables and we'll do all of that. On work progress, at least. I've got the 2 serial ATA cables plugged in. Let me turn this light off and I'll turn on night shot. Might be able to see this a little bit better. So there are the 2 cables plugged in. The orange one is going to drive 0, and the red one's going to drive 1, or 1 and 2 if you prefer to count that way. But anyway, do you like my cable management? So, I got that floppy plugged in, I pulled out this little Y splitter, and it worked out perfectly, because I only need to use one of these little Molex power connectors, and that's for this little front panel thing. And I could just plug, because it's got a little thing hanging off the edge of it, I could just plug that into the optical drive, so that works. I really wish you could turn this into all serial ATA, but there's only 2 ports on the board, so because I need it for 2 hard drives, I can't just put in 1 drive and have the optical drive serial ATA as well, so it is what it is. Let me get the screws off these drives, and I still also need to take out these expansion cards and find slot covers. Now that kind of sucks. I can't find my bag of slot blanks right now, and I only managed to scrounge up 2, the ones at the top there. So I had to pull one out of another system. Fortunately, the stars seem to have aligned, and something's going to work in my favor for once, because this compact Presario 5000 over here is going to be getting a network card, and just so happens it doesn't already have one installed. So I pulled out one of the slot blanks. I would have had to do that anyway, so I pulled it out and put it in here. So I now got 3 slot blanks for this, so this one's completely ready to go. And I didn't even have to pull out another machine to get all the slot blanks out of it. I wouldn't have had to leave it open like a total heathen. The other unfortunate thing about this case is that it uses one of these ridiculous toolless mounting brackets. However, I don't think it's going to be too bad in this case, because the only card I'm really ever planning on installing in this, at least for the duration of my using it for this purpose, is going to be this network card. I could just put it right there where the screw is. It'd almost be like putting a screw in it anyway, so I don't really care. These don't tend to work, but it's good enough for me. I don't really care enough to drill these out and tap them and put regular screws in, because I'm only going to have this one in here anyway. And then I'd have to deal with this opening right back here, and who cares? It should be just fine. Next step is to get these cards all out of the way. Here's the video card. It's just some Radeon X 1600 Pro AGP thing that I bought for like $200 brand new, so I could get the aero effects working under Windows Vista. It did that, but it didn't really do much else. Kind of a piece of junk card, 512 meg of video memory. And yeah, it's got one of these ridiculous little fans on it. This one actually seems to work for some inexplicable reason, but not much use here. The onboard should be more than good enough for a server. So that's coming out. Here's the TV card. I still think it's a PVR 150. Maybe it says on the card somewhere. Handstar MV4. There's a part number, but there's no real information. The card used to work. I don't know if it still does since I put it away, but there's one thing. And here's the sound card. CT4810. Come on, focus. There we go. I believe that's, what, a Sound Blaster Vibro 128. Nothing real special, but definitely better than the analog SoundMax garbage that this motherboard has. So, but all that's coming out of here because it's got no use in a server, so I'll have to put those into ESD bags and put them away. And then we'll give this thing a power-up test to make sure it still works. Alright. Suppose this thing is going to work. I hope so. Let's flip the power on and see what happens. Green standby, but it does not turn on. So I'm going to have to do that by pushing the button on the front. It'll come on. Push delete. I hear a fan that came on. Oops, CMOS settings wrong. Why would the CMOS settings be wrong? And then it looks like I got my drives hooked up backwards, damn it. I have to fix that. I wonder what fan is making that noise. That's kind of annoying, actually. Press F1 to run setup. Okay, primary IDE master. I'm going to leave those alone for now, because I will have those here in a minute. Yeah, those drives are hooked up backwards. 2 gigs of RAM, 2.8 gigahertz CPU. Looks good to me. CPU configuration. Don't think I need to change any of that. Internal thermal control. Might as well leave that on auto, because that's the only option I get. 2 megs of L2 cache, 32K of L1, no L3. Chipset. Graphics adapter priority. I will leave that alone. Actually, yeah, let's just leave that alone. Aperture size, you could make it a little bit bigger. I'll leave it alone. I don't think it'll matter. Onboard devices, AC97 audio. The onboard LAN is enabled for some reason. I forgot to hook up a LAN cable. I don't think it works. I think if I plug in a cable to it, it won't actually do what I need, but I'll go ahead and I'll test that, so I'll leave it enabled for now. Everything else looks fine. PCI plug and play, I'll leave that alone. Yeah, I think that fan that's making all the noise is the case fan, or maybe the CPU fan. Yeah, it's that case fan that's making all that noise. Do not try that at home, kids. So let's see. Power hardware monitor. Let's see. Chassis fan. Let's see. I don't want to ignore it. Q fan control. Let me do that. Fan ratio, auto. Target temperature, turn that up. Even though it's not very good for it, I'm going to do that. So maybe it will actually slow down that chassis fan a little bit. Everything else looks fine. Boot device priority. Yeah, it's going to try and boot to that first. I'm going to have to fix that. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to do. Restore on AC power off, OS power on. Because it's a server, I will do that. Go ahead and exit saving changes. Because I'm genuinely curious if it'll actually boot to anything. Oh, look at this. Oh, right. Yeah, that was my, I remember now. That was the other NAS, the NAS 4. So yeah, it will boot to that. So I'm going to change my serial ATA connections around. And I'll get my Clonezilla disk, and I'll go get the other machine as well. But I think for now, at the very least, this is working. I may have to replace that back fan, though. Or just take it out entirely. I don't know if this thing will actually need it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and shut the existing server down. That's what this... Excuse me, that's what this is. So we'll go over here, start, power down. It'll ask us for a reason. I always like to fill this in, just to look back on it and say, I shut it down for that reason, or shut it down for this reason. So, hardware installation. Yes, shut down. Man, listen to that. Real lack of that. I have both the big servers off. Makes me wish I could afford to replace both of them with smaller machines that don't make a lot of noise and have a lot of fans in them. But I can't afford that, so I gotta work with what I got, all this old crap. And of course, it gives the old junk something to do. But anyway, it seems like just yesterday I put this thing together. But I'm going to now take it apart. So let's see, I gotta find my screwdriver, which seems to have disappeared. Hopefully I'm going to be able to do this without the use of too many swear words, given that it's about 3 o'clock in the morning on a weeknight. Probably shouldn't be working on this machine right now, but I want to get this done and at least start transferring data over. So, we'll pull all that mess out of there. And probably should have unplugged all the cabling first. Yeah, look at that. I'll actually be able to see what I'm doing. Wow. Okay, I'm going to pull the floppy out while I'm at it, just to make my life a little bit easier. And I'm also going to put a new drive in this, although I'm not going to work on this system tonight. I'll probably do it tomorrow, or next week at some point. So I'll pull this big, bulky ribbon cable out of here. And that'll be really nice. I can get this IDE connection out. Don't have to worry about it anymore. Hope I got enough serial ATA power connectors on this on this power supply. I don't know. Guess I'm gonna find out. Alright, try and get this out of here. It's not easy, because it doesn't really fit in with both drives in there. I thought I had 2 serial ATA ports on this. I guess not. So I guess I'm going to be replacing that optical drive too. That's kind of annoying. Oh well. Yeah, I'll get another optical drive here and I'll come back. Okay, it seems my collection of IDE optical drives with a black faceplate are pretty much limited to this drive. So, I just noticed it's missing a jumper, so I'm going to have to go find a jumper now. I'm going to jumper it for master. It'll be the only thing on that cable anyway. These are the quick release things. They come out very easily. They're not even screwed into the drive. Use my optical drive. Put that somewhere. Hopefully it will actually stay there. And I'll put that in another project. I was going to say I was going to put it in the other machine, but I can't because that's only got 2 serial ATA connectors. Because, of course, like I said, on a system that old, I think I said that in a recent video, on a system that old, they're ganged internally to the parallel ATA channels because controllers usually had, 3 parallel ATA channels. So let's see, which one am I supposed to put this in? Is it supposed to be this one? I have no idea. Guess I'll find out if it'll actually go into place. So we'll see if it actually lines up. These are not the best design ever. Let me see if I can actually do this on camera for you to see. Oh, I'll be an uncle's uncle. I think I actually got it right. Might not line up totally, but I suppose you can find out later. Now I gotta cable it up. Oh, wow. Okay. Never had as much difficulty installing devices as I've had in this case. So, anyway, now I gotta remove the drives from that caddy. So let me go ahead and we'll do that. Or I'll do that, but I'll do it off camera, because you don't really need to see that. Okay, so I got those out of there. I swear, both of the big servers are off, but it still feels like it's 400 degrees in here. But anyway, here's the new drive I'm going to put in. It had 2 drives in it, of course. The 40 gigabyte Samsung, which was the boot drive, and a 200 gigabyte Mac store storing all the data. This is a 120 gigabyte Seagate serial ATA, and it says it's got bad sectors, 28 bad sectors, but they've all been reallocated, so it's not like it's got any that it's waiting to reallocate or anything like that. Probably not a good drive to be putting into a system and expecting it to work, but this isn't really going to be a mission-critical machine, just really a test box. Maybe every once in a while I'll just play around with it. So, should be more than good enough for this. So I'm going to put the screws in this and I'll put it back in the case. Well, I tell you what, it's a lot easier to put this thing here in the front into the case when there's only 1 drive installed in there. I think I mentioned this previously, though. It was not nearly as much fun trying to get everything powered up, cabled for power. Holy crap. I think I said it in my last video I worked on this. This case takes the cake easily for the most difficult case I've ever worked with. And it came down to power delivery. Well, it's installed now. Hopefully nothing's going to bump into the fan or anything equally as irritating now that I've gone to the trouble of routing all the wires. I gotta get this monitor hooked up, and set my boot order, make sure the machine is configured correctly, and all that mess. Fortunately, I can't just replace the power supply because it's an SFX power supply and I don't have any extras. And I can't imagine that if I find any, they're going to be either of cheap and have multiple serial ATA power connectors. I could get quite the surprise, but I'm not so sure. Why didn't the system power on? I thought I had automatic power on turned on, but... Oh, it was on the whole time. Wow, I'm a dork. Try that again. Still didn't automatically power on. I gotta hit delete. Get the setup. Get all these drives figured out. Primary slave is not hooked up. Not installed. Alright. Third IDE slave. Oh, you know what I was going to do? I have this little thing right here. This is an external serial ATA plug. Probably put that in there, so I'll leave this alone. But of course I'm going to turn... Well, maybe I'll just leave all the serial ATA ports on. But I'm going to leave that set to not detected because I'm not going to install a second optical drive in this machine anyway. Which reminds me, does this actually work? Well, it ejects. So, good enough for me. At least for now. CPU-wise, 3 GHz, Pentium 4, 2 gigs of RAM, So I'm not really downgrading the RAM anyway. Let's see. USB configuration, CPU configuration, onboard devices, ITE. I might as well turn that on, just in case I do decide to use it for something. Power! Alright, APM. Well, I had that set to power on, but it didn't actually work, so I'll change it back to last state, like it was before. Go into the hardware monitor here. This actually has motherboard temperature. It's fairly interesting. I wonder where that sensor is. Hold on a second. I see something interesting. Is that a PCI Express connection there? Oh, I'll be an Unkie's Munkle. This thing has PCI Express. Holy crap. It's newer than I thought, but whatever. I mean, it is 775. Basically would have to be. Q-fan's on, all that mess is working. That chassis fan, of course, being a small fan, is spinning like crazy. You can see that there. Voltages look okay. Yeah, everything seems to be fine. This is what I actually really cared about. Looks like it's fine. So we'll exit, saving changes. See if there's anything on that hard drive that's interesting. I suspect there isn't. At least not that this system would be able to boot, but can always find out. Nope. If there is, it doesn't understand it, so that's pretty much it for that. Let me move on with this project because I'm running out of time here. Alright, continuing on the disaster, we're back. Got the first drive hooked up. So we will flip the power. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to hit delete. Oh, I wanted F8 actually, not delete. Crap. No, I'm just going to try and boot off that drive, doggone it. Well, let's see if it'll work. Definitely interested to know. I forgot to plug in the Ethernet. I wonder if the onboard Ethernet will work. Guess we'll find out. It doesn't have the display driver installed. That's fine. I don't think it did either before either. Okay, let's plug in this Ethernet cable. See if the onboard comes up. It's not coming up, so I guess it's not working. So we'll just put the expansion card, just plug it in there. And we'll log in and do all that. Okay. Yeah, I got louder in here because I have that other server running again. Just got that one fixed. You'll see that in another video. Upgrading the boot hard drive. So, the interesting question. Will it see the Ethernet? Looks like it will not. So I'm going to have to find an Ethernet controller. So I don't even remember what that is. Some 3Com card of some kind. I'm going to Device Manager. Oh, it tripped the activation. Look at that. Installing device driver software. Oh, it's got to go through all of that mess. That is going to take forever. Multimedia audio. Ask me again later. Oh, wow. Look at all that. Yeah, it's got to find a lot of things. See if that actually works. Okay, it's asking me to reboot, but it did not find the Ethernet adapter, so. And lucky me, I don't actually know what that is. I might dig through my stack of Ethernet cards, see if I can find one that'll work a little bit better than that 3Com card, because that's a fairly old card. Maybe I'll even find something that's gigabit. Okay, well, I identified the card. It's a 3Com 3C905. Doesn't really make any other mention of anything else on it. I don't know if it's a B or a C or a what. So, I got a couple drivers to try. While I'm at it, I'm going to have a slight little rant about something. And it is self-righteous forum posters who think that they're all that, and they have the right to tell somebody that they're stupid for not checking hardware compatibility before upgrading something or anything like that. Well, you know what that doesn't do? That doesn't help anybody. That's what that doesn't do. Okay? So, if you're going to make the time out of your day to make a post somewhere, you could at least post something useful instead of chastising somebody for wanting to use older pieces of hardware with a newer operating system. It's not an uncommon thing to do. Part of the reason why Linux exists is to breathe life into new hardware. So get off my lawn with your useless posts, telling somebody to upgrade their hardware instead of actually helping them find a driver, which by the way exists. They're out there. Anyway. Okay, so we're going to see if either of these work. One of them's a Dell driver and the other one's off of driver guide, so neither of these may work. I'll have to find out. I made sure not to download their stupid, ridiculous driver auto updater piece of junk. Why is it sharing? Okay, I don't need the audio and I don't need the Ethernet yet. Apparently my USB stick disappeared. Okay, well that's strange. It was there and then it went to install drivers, I guess. And my battery's about to die on the camera, so I guess I'm going to be changing these AA batteries. Okay, with that all taken care of, let's try some of these drivers. One of them's a Dell driver, I think I already mentioned. That would be this. 3COM Ether disk. Continue. We'll just put it into C Dell drivers. Yes. All files were successfully unzipped. Alright, I'm not going to push OK on that just yet. I'm going to go in here to the device manager. Apparently my USB thing just disconnected, reconnected. I think that USB stick might have something wrong with it. Anyway, update driver software, browse manually. Let's go ahead and have a look here. C Dell. Include subfolders. Next. There we go. Installing driver software. Install it anyway. Because you only live once and I like to live dangerously. Let's see if it works. Here's the hard drive reading. There's network activity. I don't like that it's taken this long. Usually it doesn't take this long to install a driver. Well, I'll give it a few minutes. Okay, well it says that it's successfully installed. 3C905-TX, that's what it is. Oh, wow. Holy crap. Yeah, my USB stick is having difficulty right now. I could probably... Alright, close that. Just pull the USB stick. Okay. It says local only on the network. I'm going to have to set all the stuff up. I'm going to figure out where that 3COM EtherDisk thing is, and I'm going to just kill the process. So, alright. I might extract those files later. So now what I gotta do, it says identifying, network and sharing center. Let's see, view status, details. Yeah, that address is wrong, so I'm gonna have to set up an IP address on this. The address is this, already assigned to another adapter. Alright, so you want to remove the static IP configuration for the absent adapter? Yes. Alright. So, multiple networks, network local only. Okay. Well, if I type the command correctly, maybe it would actually work. Hanging out to the internet works. Does browsing the internet work? Ooh, problem with security certificate. Google.ca is fine. Click here to continue. No, it works. What's more is I now actually have my local internet thing down there. Interesting. Okay, well, good enough for me. So I'm going to take my Ultimate Boot CD here, put that in the drive. Probably won't be able to see this. Here's the eject. Oh, look at that. This optical drive isn't ejecting either. My life is a comedy, I tell you what. So we'll go to hard drive. Could have just booted straight, and I have a Clonezilla disk sitting somewhere, but oh well. Clonezilla. Actually, this might not work. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. I'm going to have to find my actual Clonezilla disk. Okay, let's see if this disk is any good. Clonezilla. It's an older version, but shouldn't matter. All I need is to be able to clone from IDE to serial ATA. Which I know I've done before, so put that out of the way. I'll put the case cover back on this battery pack. It's a really nice battery pack. I like it very much. It's very useful. I don't have to rely on a info-lithium battery because I don't have any good ones for this particular setup. I have no good info-lithium L series batteries. That's what this uses. This is just an info-lithium L adapter for 6AA. Just to make sure you don't plug the camcorder in while the battery's on it, because it'll try to charge it. Theoretically, anyway. Okay. Starting Clonezilla Live. Do I have a mouse? No. Okay, UTF-8. Don't touch key map. Should be fine without it. Alright. There's my tool. Start Clonezilla. Device to device. Beginner mode. Disk to local disk. Choose the source. The source should be SDA. Forgot to change my drives around. Doggone it. And I'll do that when I shut the machine off. Target. SDC. Skip, check, and repairing source. Press enter to continue. So now, okay. Are you sure you want to continue? Of course I do. Of course I want to continue. Do you want to clone the bootloader? Of course I do. Yes. So here we go. This process will take forever. So I'm not going to show you this. Well, it won't take forever, but it'll take a couple minutes, and I want to save some tape space, because this is only a 60-minute tape, and I've already taken up about 45 minutes of it. Okay, that didn't take too long at all. So, power off. Unplug the drive. From this. Again, I think it's an 80 conductor cable. I hate those cables. Alright. So, I'm going to, while I'm in here now, I'm thinking about it. Connect these to their respective ports. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get the data drive, which is right here, which I am going to reuse for another project that you'll see in another video. I'm going to jump ring wise, who cares? Hopefully I'll actually be able to plug it in. So I know it does not like to plug in. Hope none of the pins are bent. I guess I'll find out. Because I had an issue with that as well at one point. This drive is annoying. Okay. on. I'm going to make sure, go into BIOS setup, by the post. It's not seeing it, damn it. Yep, I'm going to have to figure that out. Hold on just a second. Well, unsurprisingly, the cable fell apart when I was playing around with it. At least it's seeing the drive now. 6B200. I don't know what the deal is with this drive, but it does not sit on cables properly. Hard disk drives. First drive is 3. I guess it doesn't matter as far as that goes. So we'll exit and save changes. We'll see if the system will boot. At this point, which I hope it does, and then I'll resize the drive, format the new one, copy the data over. I am, of course, going to get my... That's booting. Good. I'd like to see that. I'm going to take that big, bulky ribbon cable out of there. I'll probably move the optical drive over to the primary slot. Of course, I'm going to be changing the optical drive in the system. Of course, I'm going to have to throw away that ribbon cable now. Although it does work. Probably keep it as a single device cable. That's if the other one doesn't break when I go to try and remove it. Okay, logging into the system. Here's the old boot drive. Multimedia, who cares? Shut up. Get it to stop asking me, because I don't care. Don't need sound on the server. Might even just disable it in the BIOS. Yeah, I'll probably just disable it. No, it wants me to reboot. I'll reboot later. Go into the control panel. Probably should have just gone straight into administrative tools, because that's exactly where I'm going. File server resources. I might look into some of that stuff because it might be screwed up a little bit. Now that I've changed this drive. Okay, connecting to virtual disk service. Loading configuration. So I'm going to take this. We'll extend it through to the entire disk. Which hopefully will not mess it up. Okay. Okay, so this is storage, so that's already been done. Change drive letter. I'm going to remove that drive letter for now. And this, I'm going to delete everything that's on it. It's actually smaller. I wonder if I can, let's see, properties. Can't reinitialize it. Just make a new volume, full size, assign it drive letter. Hold on a second. This optical drive should be E. Change that back. Yes. Assign it D, and TFS storage. Perform a quick format. Full format will take forever. So format, we'll get storage. Then we'll put the existing one back into the fray. And then, oops, restart later. Windows can't check for updates. Why not? Go back over here, and we'll take all the data. Actually, I can just Control A, copy, and we'll send it over to D. Just like that. And that is going to take forever. Yeah, it's going to take a while. I think I'm going to stop the video with that because it's not terrifically interesting. I hear coil whine. I don't like that. Oh well. I'll live with it. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off, and I hope to see you next time. Till then. Hope you'll forgive me something of a postscript on this video. I have just noticed I have some more work to do. That's not the correct time. At all. Okay, let's go ahead and adjust that. That would explain why Windows Update is not working. Okay. 2018, December, and it is what? 14th. Wow, it's already the 14th. Time isn't too far off, but 6:18 in the morning. Really need to get to bed. I gotta get all this other stuff done first. It's a good thing I don't work today. Okay. Close enough. Try that again. That should actually work this time. Definitely going to take a while. Here, somebody's awake. Anyway, I think the coil whine that's coming from this thing is actually coming out of this power supply. So that's kind of annoying, because that's one of my good power supplies. Maybe I'll replace it. And see what happens. I don't think I got anything that's any better, though. I mean, I have an HGC 350 watt, but... whatever. Maybe I'll just leave it alone. I think that's pretty much it. I've drugged this video out more than long enough.